Hello, my name is Dustin Sheevy, Innovation Specialist at Harrison Elementary in the School District of Janesville. Today I'm going to be talking to you about what is AI. So I've done a lot of research over the last year and a half on what AI is and what you can do with it. So I'm going to hopefully share some strategies with you, and hopefully this will be a helpful little talk for you to hopefully just understand what AI is and how it works. So I first came across AI, really the big uses of AI. Obviously, I was using beforehand, but the latest boom about a year and a half ago in January, and I was scrolling through my Facebook, and I noticed this chart. And it's basically the time that an app took to reach 100 million users. And so you can see Google Translate took 78 months to get 100 million users, and Spotify took 55, and TikTok took 9 months to get 100 million users. And then I got down here and it says ChatGPT took 2 months. 2 months to reach 100 million users. And I said to myself, what's ChatGPT? I was a little embarrassed that I didn't even know what it was. And so I went on and I started playing around with it, and I was blown away by what AI can do. And so I played around with it quite a bit. So what are some things that I've done? I've created a shopping list. If you put in your menu for the week, you can say create a shopping list for this menu, and it'll say how much butter you need, how much sugar, all this kind of stuff, and pretty cool. I've interviewed President Lincoln. What a great way for a primary source, right? I'm kidding. I asked ChatGPT to be President Lincoln, and then when I would interview you, I said answer truthfully as best you can about true facts about President Lincoln. And so I was able to talk with him, and I was getting feedback of basically the best that computers knew of President Lincoln. I've done some summarizing feedback. I've sent out some forms and gotten lots of feedback, and I throw that all in and say, hey, can you summarize this? And it gives me all the highlights, and many of us probably use this a little bit ourselves. Create another version of an assessment. I pay for a subscription where I can actually take a picture, and so I'll take a picture of an assessment and say, hey, can you get me started on another version of this assessment? And it'll start writing out, and obviously I have to go back and make sure that's meeting every standard, and going through and making sure that everything is the way I want it. But it's a great way to get it started. I've also used formulas. Had it write me formulas for Google Sheets and Excel. It has saved me hours of work. And then I also get royalty-free images, and all the images in these slides is from AI. So one other cool thing, I just need to show you this. 11 Labs is a program that if you read to for about a minute, it can create an AI voice. So I can type in anything, and I'll make that AI voice say the things. So I read Harry Potter for a minute to 11 Labs, and it created a digital voice. And then I took that digital voice and I went to Hedra, which is a little bit of a video tool where you can insert a picture and it'll actually make that picture into more of a video. So I used my AI voice and I threw it into a picture of me, and it generated this AI situation. So I want you guys just to take a listen to this here just for a second. All right, so this is not me at all. It's just my picture that I put in.
This is an artificial intelligence speaking as me. Can you tell the difference? This technology will only get better throughout the years, and is
right now, obviously,
approaching
over
a
here in the
natural
corner,
voice.
it starts getting a little fuzzy. But this is the worst it's going to be. It's only getting better. The other cool thing is that in 11 Labs, I said Google Translate that exact same phrase. Google translated it into Spanish. I threw it into 11 Labs, and here's now a video of me speaking the same thing in Spanish.
Esta es una inteligencia artificial que habla como yo. ¿Puede usted decir la diferencia? Esta tecnología solo mejorará a lo largo de
I think
los
that's pretty
años.
sweet.
Y
And a
se
little
está
scary at the
acercando
same time, too, right?
rápidamente a una
It
voz
only took me
natural.
about 5 minutes to do this. It took me a few minutes to get this audio clip going, and a few minutes to throw it into Hedra, and away I went. That's pretty sweet.
This
Some
is
really
an
cool
artificial
things.
intelligence speaking.
All right. But what is AI? Right? AI is computers doing human-like things, right? And And so I wanted to share with you a little bit of how they get AI to do things these days. And so the first way is this machine learning. Machine learning is taking codes and the general gist of machine learning would be writing a code of if this happens, then this, right? And sometimes it takes a long time. Machine learning's been out since like 1952, when someone actually developed a computer to analyze chess and to see what's the probability of someone winning based on their chess placement. And so writing this code, though, would take a lot of time. So lately, you might have been hearing this deep learning, which is another subset of machine learning. This deep learning is what's really interesting because we actually let the computers kind of write the code itself. And this is really what's been powering, your ChatGPTs and your image creators and your self-driving cars, right? This deep learning, so we don't have to painstakingly write code all the time. And there's a really great illustration of what deep learning is. I have it in this code.org, and basically we're trying to train this computer what a fish is. Now this computer knows absolutely nothing, but we're going to feed it information and we're going to say if it's a fish or not. And it's going to look at different aspects, maybe different colors, different shapes, and it's going to determine finally what a fish is and what a fish isn't. So if I feed this, I'm going to say this is a fish. This is not a fish, right? And this is a fish. This is not a fish. Now, that's the first white thing that I actually fed the robot. So maybe the robot automatically thinks anything that's white is not a fish, right? And so it's drawing its own algorithms, and we're not actually sure exactly what those comparisons are that it's saying it is and it's not. And so that's why when you might hear on the news, AI has got a little black box, like we don't actually know what it's doing. That's because we don't know actually the script it's writing to determine what is and what isn't something, right? So I'm going to say not a fish, right? And the more images I feed this robot, the smarter the robot's going to be. And if I kept here feeding this thing, and I only fed it 10 images, but I could test this out. But if I fed it 100, it would be better than when I fed it 10, right? And if I fed it 1,000,000, right? So this ChatGPT and these large language models, they're all fed just millions of information. And so that's kind of how it works. Same thing with, like I said, the driving cars too. All right. So this is how QuickDraw works, right? If you haven't ever played QuickDraw, it's tons of pictures that people have drawn. This is like the apple, right? There's just thousands of pictures of apple drawings, and the computer says, oh, this is how a human actually draws an apple. So when you start drawing, it can actually say pretty fast what it thinks you're drawing. This deep learning is what powers these, like an emoji scavenger hunt. It's a game by Google where if you scan, if it says I want a shoe, you can scan a shoe and it can determine what the shoe is and what the shoe isn't. Now, it's not perfect, and you'll see if you play these games, it gets things wrong, right? Machine learning is not, an AI is not always right. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but we're going to give you a little break, maybe test out one of these games.